Hey guys, so today's video is actually going to be a tier list. It's going to be a tier list of our champions, the 10 champions that we currently have. It's my opinion on them and where they fall on the list from S tier down to the F tier. So I hope you enjoy. All right, boys and girls, let's get this thing rolling. So first up is HoAnna. Now HoAnna has been dominating the competitive scene for about 2 months now. Her effect to destroy a unit or a tower getting her a counter where she needs 3 to create a golem token is pretty nutty. And the fact that she has cards that complement her ability, such as Hidden Lab, to get her an instant token is nuts. And it's shown. She's got a lot of powerful cards, such as Golem of Avarice and things like that rip cards out of your opponent's hand. Dark right now is just so strong. They've got the Omega Magic Yami, which plays into the deck strategy very well. They've got Golem of Vengeance that picks cards out of the hand. They got Demon of the Evil Eye, which is one of the best cards in the game right now. So HoAnna is undoubtedly in the S tier for sure. She's just so good right now, and all of the statistics back her up. Moving on, we've got Rain. Now, Rain is just pure dog crap. He is so bad. He's not playable at all. Red is just extremely weak. Any kind of aggro strategy right now just isn't playable. I think he's ahead of his time. I've said this a couple times in prior videos. Expelling cards is really bad right now. There's no effects revolving around it or anything like that, and his effect to banish 2 cards just to deal 1,000 damage is absolutely terrible. But we've seen some early leaks of Revelations, which is the next core set for the game, and we've already seen some cards that revolve around banishing and expelling. So I think he's just ahead of his time. He may see some playability here in the future, but right now he's an F. He's absolutely terrible. So yeah, poor Rain. So next up is Jillian. Now Jillian has seen a little bit of play. She's got a very cool ability. Being able to manipulate the top of your deck really isn't that hard with Mr. Kins and Azure Seer, even your options for blue. And Jillian takes advantage of that, and to possibly, +1 each turn from her effect is really nice. Now, the negative is obviously your opponent knows what cards are in your hand when you reveal them and the card that you're about to draw. So maybe they can play around it a little bit, but she's definitely not a bad option. I think her only issue is that there's a better blue champion. But Jillian, there's specific strategies that can be built around her, so definitely not bad. I got to put her right in the middle of the road there at C. Moving on, we've got Erin. So Erin has seen some success in competitive play. He actually top 16 the most recent Argent Saga championship. But it's basically a meme deck. It's built around one strategy, which is stall until you find Iskandar, which is a pretty busted card, and you can pretty much play him for free in that Erin deck. It's a bummer that Erin is only used in a meme deck, but with that being said, he's made it to the top 16, so he's obviously competitive and he's playable. But because it's basically met around one strategy, I think people will eventually find ways to counter it. I think people even found ways at the Argent Saga Championship, obviously because it didn't win. So he's good, but it's a bummer that it's just around a meme, so he's a C in my opinion. Next, we've got Ariana. So Ariana, in my opinion, is terrible. She's a +2, which is great at the very beginning, but she does nothing after that. The 2 cards that she grabs, so Kala's terrible, obviously. It's just used for kite fodder or, any kind of card that needs a cost associated with it. That's what you're going to use Kala for. And Ariana's Amulet is okay. It replaces itself whenever you play it. And you can disrupt your opponent's stuff, like turning off a kite for a turn or a Luna or something like that. But overall, it's a pretty subpar card. Maybe that card's also ahead of its time. If we get some new spirits that do something each turn or something like that, maybe it can be very good. The only reason Ariana is somewhat playable is, one, because it's a +2 at the beginning, and then after that you can pair it with cards like Vabriel, which came out in the new expansion set, to flip it face down, because you get all of the benefits at the beginning of the game. So that's kind of nice, to not, feel any kind of remorse for putting your champion face down because you've already used it. So that's primarily where you're going to use Ariana, but as a whole, I don't think she's very good. I think you got to put her at the D tier. Moving on, we've got Eaton, which I've heard is the correct way to pronounce this card. I've called him Iaton a lot. I love this champion. First of all, he looks cool, and his effect is very unique. The fact that he's the only champion that allows you to ramp with him is really cool. I think right now, though, green is just lacking a lot of cards that you want to ramp up to quick. I think if they had some good destroyer cards or something like that to break towers early for a good aggro strategy, that'd be really nice. Right now, though, currently, the only nice card to really ramp into is Skyhawk of the Cloud Sea, Sylphia, obviously, and Garga, but that's about it. So I think the more cards that we acquire in the card pool is going to make Eaton really great. But right now, I think he's just middle of the road here at C. He doesn't really do anything special. But at the same time, he's still solid, and he's got a decent amount of cards to play with. Green has, middle of the road kind of stuff in comparison to like Dark. Dark's extremely powerful right now, but I think as more cards come out, Eaton's going to get better. But right now, got to put him at the C tier. So next up, we've got Jemile. So Jemile's started to see a lot of success in competitive play. A new strategy came out at the Argent Saga Championship in Richmond, where it paired Jemile with Luna, and it was a really cool strategy. It's a real control deck. You spend a lot of your early game manipulating the top of your deck and grabbing, cheap cards to stall your opponent out until you reach, the later part of the game where you're drawing big destroyers like Golem of Vengeance. That's one of the cards you played, or Demon of the Evil Eye, to pick cards out of your opponent's hand. And then you just control the game state once they've expended all of their resources. So Jemile, I think he's going to be good for a long time. He's got a type of effect where it's never going to be bad. Drawing cards is never a bad thing. Right now, I think just because HoAnna it can be a control deck, it can be aggro, it can be tempo. You can go, wherever you want with HoAnna. And she's paired up with pretty much any of the spirits. And I think Jemile is limited in his spirits that he can use to make him efficient, but as a champion, he's very good, and I think he's just right below HoAnna, so I got to put him at the A tier. So moving on, we got Dragonholt. So Dragonholt has a very good effect. I think it's probably the best effect out of all of the champions. The problem is we really don't have any good, strong dragons right now. You got a couple that are good, but red as a whole is just so weak. Red is based around aggro, and there's pretty much one way to build red right now, and that's with juvenile dragons and trying to win quick. But we've seen, at least with the past 2 championship series, that's just not a viable strategy. So I think set 2 is going to speed things up. That's what we keep hearing from the creators, and I think Dragonholt is going to get a big boost from that. I don't know how he can't. He's got such a good effect. But if he starts getting a little bit of support in his color, I think he's going to skyrocket to the top. But right now, because red's so unplayable, he's in the D area, which is really sad. Now, our last playable champion right now is Liam. And Liam is the one champion that has been effective with the aggro strategy. It's pretty much the one deck that can be aggro and be competitive and win. Him as a champion he's okay. He's got a decent effect. Breaking towers gets you any gear in your deck, and we've got some strong ones. You have the gears that protect you from being targeted. You can deal damage. You can draw a card, and also the quickness gear is pretty much what his strategy is based around. Also, pitching gears for the plus 500 is really nice to break towers with some of your 1,000 power units. And pitching gears, as we've seen in Light, is not a problem at all. It fuels Iskandar. You've got a lot of cards that equip gears to themselves from the discard zone. So it's not a bad thing at all. But Liam is pretty much the one strategy where he can go aggro. And we've seen success from him from these Argent Saga championships and some regionals. So Liam's pretty good. I got to put him in the B tier. I'd say out of those three champions, out of all the champions, the three that you're most likely going to want to play is HoAnna, Jemile, or Liam. I'm hoping, set 2 changes that, and all of the champions are playable, and they have cool, unique strategies, because that'd be really good. But right now, that's my tier list for the champions. Obviously, Aragon goes in the F tier because you can't even play him. He's suspended. He was so good that they had to suspend him. And I really like that the Argent Saga team did that early. And as you could see from the Argent Saga Championship in Richmond, you had a lot of diversity. HoAnna Kite was still very prevalent, and it was there, but there were tons of other decks that made it into the top 16. So it was really nice to see that. They said that there's plenty of cards that stop Aragon in the second set. I've seen 1 or 2 in the leaks that can disrupt that, but I still think Aragon would be very good if they let him out when they're planning to. So he's still going to be relevant for sure. I'm guessing he'll still be in the B, A, or maybe even S tier, but once he's released from suspension, I'm guessing he'll go into the A tier, but right now he's obviously F because you can't even play him. All right, everyone, so that was my tier list. Hopefully you take it into consideration before you guys start testing for the Argent Saga Championship in Columbus. And as always, like, comment, and subscribe. Zeppelin out.